am here to tell you, you have every choice in the world. Like,
I guess I should save. And I don't know what our first steps are out of that, and
or like, yeah,
what that
like
would
my
be.
mom said, you're not going to college if you don't borrow money. Well, but we have to decide there's another choice.
Damn
Like,
right.
we
Yeah.
don't feel that we have choice financially.
Mm.
And I am here to tell you, you have every choice in the world. Like, there is never a day that when somebody has enough money to stop their job and quit for the rest of their career, oh, they don't put up with stuff from other people the way that they do before that. And I remember that when I was pregnant. Oh man, I didn't take anyone's crap for nothing. Like, people think like the crazy pregnant lady going, no, 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 you just don't put up with anything that's not authentically in alignment with you. That's what it is when you're pregnant. That's what it is when you have enough money to go tell your boss to jump in the ocean, right? It's when you have that freedom piece and then you authentically plug into the world, because the only thing that all of us are screwing up is not 100% being yourself every single day. Because we negotiate ourselves away to keep the peace or to keep my job or to, instead of speaking your truth so that things can align more with you, instead you get more mixed results because you're putting up with stuff that's not authentically designed for you.
Yeah, because you're scared. Well, I think there's lots of reasons, but you're scared because then what? Like, what if there's no safety net? What if, I can't, what if I'm homeless or whatever?
Right.
And then also it just feels complicated. You talk about the other choices
Totally.
and stuff, but I know I've just felt like I don't ever know enough. And there's all these options out there that seem so confusing.
Right.
And so then you just bury your head and get through today and go to work.
Exactly. Right. And in my first book, The Emotion Behind Money, I write about that when I was driving to work. So we're one of the train stations and everybody looks like they've been punched in the face 1,000 times.
Isn't that
Like
sad?
the dredge
So
to
sad.
work.
Yeah.
I'm going, why do we keep doing this? Time to make the donuts, right? Like that commercial back in the day. Like, why do we do this to ourselves? I think COVID really proved it to people going, I ain't commuting to the office anymore. I can do this job at home. And employers today are having problems with people. They're going, well, no, I'd rather quit and, because I like quality of life. Like, people are starting to define what is work to me and how can I do it more effectively. And even people ask me, like, do I come see you in person or on Zoom? I'm like, Zoom. Why would we commute? Because if I need you to get me something, you're sitting right next to your file cabinet and you can get it to me instantly, as opposed to you coming to my office and going, okay, well, I'll mail it to you and in 3 weeks you'll get it.
When you start like saying, okay, you want to work with me, like what's step one? And do you start
Sure.
breaking these things, or do you just, I bet with your experience, you're able to be like, I have a read on you.
I definitely get reads really fast. Because there's only so many patterns, right?
Oh, well, that's good.
And sometimes
Okay.
you have, sometimes you got a couple playing with you, right? But typically, there's usually, like, if there's a couple, there's usually one of them that's more dominant, one that's more submissive when it comes to money because of usually just confidence, or you've divided and conquered what you want to do. There's a lot of women. This one drives me crazy. There's a ton of women who are totally financially independent and then they get in a relationship and then they turn the keys to the kingdom over to him. I had one client that did that after he had declared bankruptcy twice, but she still, because he worked in the banking system, thought that he knew more. Like, ladies, don't do that. If you're not fiscally screwed up, but they were, don't hand the keys over. Drives me crazy. But women do that all the time. It's about, staying in your empowerment, whatever that is, at whatever degree that you want to be in financial empowerment, whatever that is, right? And so, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just curious when you started to tap into all this. Like, did you have an aha? Did you get into money like immediately in college, or was it that conversation about the debt that you were like, what the hell? There's got to be better ways, or what was it?
So my first boss that I had in this industry, he pulled me aside. I was like 6 months into the business. So I was 22 years old, right? And he goes, you need to stop hugging your clients when they walk in the door.
Oh.
And I was like, what? Like, he goes, it's not professional. you need to shake their hand. And I was like, so in the financial services industry, you wear stiff suits.
Mm-hmm.
We have mahogany desks. And now I can't hug you. But yet, you need to tell me all of your fears, all of your concerns, and all the dirty laundry of your family. But I'm supposed to be a stiff suit. Right then and there, I was going, this doesn't make sense to me. So I didn't listen. I'm kind of a rebel like that, a little Sagittarius. Like, I'm like going, yeah, well, I let my freak flag fly, and I'm still going to hug people because I think you're a nut job. And so I was like, I kept hugging people. And then I started to realize, that's when I started to question how my industry does money with people. And what I realized is that my industry actually takes the human element completely out of money management, going, this is the smart thing to do, so it's all from up here. This is the smart thing. This is what you should do. And then there's all this shame and guilt if you don't do it the way you should do it, or how the good girl or good boy does it, right? Because you're not just falling in line with a system that feels that it's proven that it's efficient, right? And I just sat there kind of going, And then I stopped wearing suits. I got yelled at for that one too. Because, Jewel, we have a attire that you need to wear here. I go, yeah, but I kind of noticed when I don't wear a stiff suit, people open up and talk more. And I want to know what's really, truly going on besides all this surface level stuff. And I stopped wearing suits, and they kept telling me to wear them, and I just stopped. And then eventually what happened is I moved my office to an open brick loft space in the West Loop in Chicago. So more of like the alternative up and coming neighborhood in Chicago at the time, back in 2003. Not that I'm dating myself, but
that was like, wasn't that like 6 or 7 years ago?
Yesterday.
Feels like it. Okay. Yeah.
And so when I did that, it was funny. I actually intentionally didn't get any mahogany desks. I didn't require any of my employees to actually wear suits. You just had to look nice, right? Like, just look presentable. You didn't even necessarily have to wear business attire per se. Just look nice and together. And of course, I got this first referral that came in the door, and she was like, and I was excited. She had $2 million and I was ready. Like, let's do this. Like, I was about 8 years into the industry at this point. And she's like, you don't really look like you're a together financial firm. And I was going, oh, the universe and its challenge. Like, do you really want to let your freak flag fly or not? And I said, yeah, well, I actually don't believe that serves people well for opening up and of course, that woman did not become a client because she matched the mahogany desk. Like, she resonated there. And that's okay that people resonate there more than the way that I do finance. But I just found that when I spoke in front of a bunch of people in my industry and I was talking about my first book, The Emotion Behind Money, and the woman who brought me in to speak grabbed the microphone and she said, don't these young advisors think that they know how it goes and they'll get to where we're at eventually? And I was like, you're a woman throwing a woman under the bus in a room of 1,000 people where there's only 10 women.
God dang.
So you just made me look like an idiot in front of all these old white men. Is pretty much what she did. And I sat there and I go, oh, got it, universe. I'm not supposed to educate financial planners because when I speak in front of the general public, everybody gets it. They're going, finally, somebody in the industry that understands us. And I'm like going, it was my industry that didn't understand. And so that's when I decided to be the client advocate and do everything from that vantage point and not from the place of the big financial firm. Do you want to experience free coaching based on my 25 plus years as being a financial planner and ask me any question that you want to ask me to help you get past that hurdle in your financial world? I run these free workshops every other month to start to open you up to start to help you get to this next place. The information for my free workshop, click the link below and register, and I'll see you on the next workshop.